Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, we've got another one of those incidents, one of those school incidents. I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but before I get into it, there is this pretense here in this country that we're supposed to ignore the past and that the past isn't to be looked upon to determine what we should do about the present or the future. You see, there is a huge racial problem here in this country, one of which they refuse to acknowledge or deal with. The acknowledgments that we do here are very, very minor. Kind of like, it's not that big a deal. We'll check into it. We'll look into it. But don't make too much of a big deal out of it. If you don't pay as much attention to it, it'll just vanish. And that's not how it's worked for the past 400 or 500 years. Okay, so in this incident here, there's a middle school in Michigan, Emerson Middle School. There was a student who was removed after a video resurfaced of him threatening to exterminate black people. How many times have we heard these such threats? And they just kind of fall on deaf ears as it relates to anyone who can do anything about it. Now, they removed him from the school, but that's all. You're going to hear in this report that they say that their hands are tied to do anything else. Anyway, take a listen at this report, and I will be right back.
An 8th grader from Emerson Middle School in Michigan has been removed after a disturbing video that has since been circulating on social media captured him threatening to kill black people while he reportedly held a gun. According to the Detroit News, the 9-second video initially surfaced in May 2021 and shows the unidentified child holding what appeared to be a BB gun or airsoft gun and declaring, "I am ready for the N-words. Gonna kill them now because I want a lawsuit right now, mother effer," as a Confederate flag hung on a wall behind him. The student then adds a magazine to the weapon and motions as if to load the gun. The Livonia Police Department was made aware of the Snapchat clip the day before Christmas Eve, light. Charles Lister told the newspaper. Authorities said they visited the child's home that same day and retrieved the weapon spotted in the video. Lister added that while the footage is reprehensible, it's unclear if it violates any laws. "We currently have an open investigation. We are working with Livonia Public Schools," Lister explained. "At this point, we don't believe we have anything that rises to the level of criminal activity to submit a warrant request to the prosecutor's office. We are waiting to see what is going to transpire with the school system." The student has since been removed from the school, but it's unclear by whom or under what terms. School spokesperson Stacy Jenkin wrote in an email, "We can't indicate the reason for the student not being in school, in terms of suspension, etc. Suffice to say, he is not in school at this time." Coverage of the incident seemingly only appeared now after the video resurfaced again at some point this week. In a recent statement, the director of secondary programs for Livonia Public Schools, Daniel Willenborg, said, "The Livonia police have been involved from the onset of the sharing of this post, and we will continue to follow our investigative procedures and protocols." Willenborg added, "Without question, the video is despicable and reprehensible, and has caused fear and discomfort among many." Last Friday, a letter was sent to families stating that the district had a responsibility to respond to racism, discriminatory language, and hateful acts toward anyone in our schools. They said the district would follow procedures to ensure the student is not a threat to others. The note also referenced the deadly shooting at Oxford High School in nearby Oxford Township, Michigan. 4 students were killed and 7 others injured after sophomore Ethan Crumbly brought a semi-automatic handgun to campus. His parents, Jennifer and James Crumbly, were charged on December 3 with involuntary manslaughter for failing to secure the gun used in the shooting. They were ultimately arrested following a manhunt by the U.S. Marshals. "We are all too aware of how this video and this student's actions have only added to our students' and community's fears," the letter said.
Okay, so first of all, this country wants to pretend like there isn't a huge racial problem that has existed for a very long time, for centuries. Centuries. They want to pretend like that hasn't existed. And then they want to say that we can't do anything until what? They basically said we got to see what happens. Let me just share a story with you that will kind of help you to understand where I'm coming from when I say what I'm going to say. I remember years ago in Detroit, Michigan. This was more than 30 years ago. I was a young person at the time. Teenager, should I say. I was a teenager. I still want to consider myself young, even though I know I'm about to cross that mid-century point. But anyway, there was an incident where a young woman was being, it was a domestic violence situation. And she reported it to police. And they pretty much told her there is absolutely nothing they can do about it because they are only threats, only verbal threats. So I'm sorry, ma'am, we can't help you. I don't care how afraid you are. I don't care about the fact that there are many cases that have shown domestic violence is on the increase. Way back then. I'm not just talking about now, I'm talking about way back then. So anyway, the Detroit police did nothing about it. They said that their hands are tied because it's only verbal threats. They can't do anything until an actual crime has been committed. And so in that case, you can just about guess what happened. He killed her. The man in that situation killed the woman. So the police says, okay, now we can get involved. Now we can get involved because she's now dead. So now a crime has been committed. And so when you look at that situation that I just shared with you and you compare it to this, and you know that there is already a potential for harm to come to someone based on threats by another, how can you sit there and say that our hands are tied? When there is a history of the type of thing that is spoken of here, where this person verbalized what they want to do, and there's a history of his ancestors and people today doing the exact same thing. So how then can a person feel safe in such an environment? But yet there's a narrative that continues to be pushed that the most dangerous people are people of color. And they are basing that on the petty crimes that you see today, not just the petty, but even the violent crimes. See, we can admit that there are criminals in the so-called black community. We can admit that. But there needs to be some admission as well. There needs to be some admission as well of criminality that exists in all races. And if we want to do a scorecard, I'm not going to even go there, especially if we tally it all up for the past 500 years worldwide. We all know who the winners would be in violent criminality. So anyway, I am done with this story. In the comment section below, remember to keep it tight and keep it right. But until next time. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.